23rd, 2011, our lives were changed. It was our 9/11. And on that day, our house was robbed. Someone came into our house and stole $2,000 worth of jewelry that belonged to Ruth, and the camera that recorded the first 2 years of her little boy's life, because Peter was a student in Canada and couldn't be here because of visa issues, and Ruth had lived with us. She's the daughter of Joseph and Jane, who are part of our network. She had lived with us for a number of years, and so she was there, and they also stole a computer of mine that I was in the process of no longer using, but it had data on I did not want out in the community. And so Ruth came to us Thursday evening at supper, and she said, "Was somebody in my room?" And we said, "Well, not that we know of." She said, "Well, there's evidence that somebody, went through my jewelry and took it and so forth." We looked around, determined that the three things were stolen: the jewelry, the camera, and the computer, and that whoever had come into the house had come in off of a patio through an open window. We got the police involved. They talked about it. They looked into it, took a responsible approach to it, but nothing came of that. 4 months went by, and we sort of gave up hope of hearing anything about it. One Wednesday morning, I didn't go to work as usual. I took some time and I was reflecting, on Matthew 12. And it says there that you cannot plunder a strong man's house unless you first bind up the strong man. And I was reflecting on that, and I realized, the strong man, or the devil, has been bound, and that you can really look at the Great Commission, which would say, "Go ye therefore into all the world and preach the gospel," as saying, really, go into all the world and plunder the strong man's house. Yes. Satan should be afraid of us. We shouldn't be afraid of him, because we're on the winning side. Well, that gives you kind of a different attitude as you go to work. So I went to work that day in the afternoon at some prison that I was going to. And I'm talking to a number of people, and I meet a young man there, and I say to him, "Oh, where are you from?" And it turns out he's from E-Town. That's my town. And I don't even know why he was in jail, but I said to him, well, it turned out that he was addicted to opiates. And opiates, it's a great bondage, because when you get close to being into withdrawal, you do anything to get relief. So I said to him, as we talked about, I said, "Did you ever find it necessary to do anything illegal to support your habit?" And he looked around a bit and he said, "Well, is this confidential?" I said, "Of course, this is confidential." And then he said, he said, "Well, as a matter of fact," and he was kind of sheepish, he said, "I did. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I've started going into people's houses and stealing from their houses." And so we talked a bit about that. He said, "My parents really are upset with it, and my family's upset, but he said, when I feel that urge I'm going to go into withdrawal, I do it." And so we talked a little bit more, and as it turned out that he said he went into rehab to get help with his drug addiction on June the 23rd. Now that's the day that we were plundered. So I thought, my case is slipping away. I thought, what would be another good question to ask, a good psychiatric question? I said, "Did you happen to steal anything that day before you went into recovery?" He said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I did." I said, what did you do?" And he said, what did you get?" Well, he said, I got a camera, some jewelry, and a computer." So really? I said, How did you get that?" Well, he said, "I found the house where no one was home." And I said, "How did you get in?" He said, "I went in through a window off of a patio." And I turned to him and I said, "You went in to buy a house." And do you remember what you said? He said, "Well, yeah, go ahead."
Did I?
Well, he said, "Well, where do you live?" And we talked about it. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I went into your house." And now what's the next thing? I quickly consulted my psychiatric textbook. What do you say next? And I did not feel anger toward him. I did not feel any, but I said, I don't want to prosecute or anything like that. I really would like my computer back, and I'd like the engagement ring back for Ruth, and I'd like the camera back. Well, he said, "I think the camera's probably already erased, and the jewelry's probably moved on." And said, maybe maybe we could get the computer. I said, how would we do that? Well, he said, my brother, who also turned out to be addicted. Fact is, in a family of 7, about 5 of them were addicted in the family. And he said, maybe we can get in touch with the brother. I said, well, let's do that. There was a phone, and I'm not even sure you're supposed to do this, William Rose, but I said, let's get him on the line. So we get him on the line, and I think he's saying, what in the world's going on? Because you said, I think it's a God thing. And so I said, well, let me talk to him. I said, hey, I'm not interested in private. Could you put that computer under a bush somewhere? I just want that computer. Nothing ever happened about that. But that was, you know, we had a number of more contacts while you were in the prison, and that happened now, you know, 3 years ago. Yeah, and so my question was, God, why did you allow this to happen? You know, there's 1,000 people at Dauphin, there's 1,000 in Lancaster. He's from Lancaster County. There's probably another 1,000 that could be in prison. So out of thousands of people, what's the likelihood that I'd be sitting across the table talking to the very man that plundered my house? And if you say, if that's God, what was he up to? What did he want? Just so I'd have an interesting story to tell? Why don't I let you say what you want to say? How it was for you?
I feel like I should be handing stones out first of all. After Dr. Martin told me about everything that was taken out of his house and what it meant to him and his family, that I went back to my cell, and I pretty much just started putting myself in pretty much every person that I've hurt in my life's position. Now, at that point, I told myself I was done. There's been times before when I said I was done, and, you know, I tried going out and doing it on my own. After meeting Dr. Martin and hearing that, and, you know, for him to show me the grace and the mercy that he did, it just meant everything to me. I realized that, you know, even as much as I wanted to get clean and stay clean, you know, it wasn't something that I was going to be able to do on my own. So from that point on, I just have pretty much relied on God to guide me in the right directions, you know. And I haven't been perfect, nowhere close. But God has put people in my life through them. Here supporting me now.
Could they stand up, the mentors that he's had?
The mic, please.
Dr. Martin looks for a reason for this, you know, the meeting between us and that. And I want to tell you, since we've met, he's been treating my father, he's been treating my brother. I believe he treated my mother for a while. And they're all been clean for over a year now, I think. And I actually have a family to go to now, you know, because we were all just drug addicts before, family of drug addicts. And that's no family at all, if you didn't know. I owe a great amends, and I just want to make that amends and hopefully become friends with you. Hopefully we already are. You know, this is just starting out for me.
So the answer came to me. It was not about my house being plundered, but it was about God's house has been plundered. And he says, I want it plundered. I want the things taken back that belong to me. Because he's saying, you belong to me, and your family belongs to me, and I want you taken back. You thought you were plundering my house at the moment, but God is saying, no, I'm plundering the devil's house, because you belong in my house. And the angels are rejoicing in heaven, and we're rejoicing with them, because we now have come out in the control of the enemy and on the side of faith and life and good. So God bless you. Please come back. Please come back.
Well, actually, I don't have much to say, but I just want to give you a hug and to tell you that I love you.
for Ruth, actually, Ruth and Peter, the loss was greater. You know, we lost that sense of security. I still slip my computer away every time I go away. But for Peter and Ruth, it was the camera, it was the jewelry. And so when I told Ruth that he was going to be here, she said, I don't know how I can handle it. So it was a miracle that you were able to come up and forgive him.
Amen.
Yes.
Already,
I just wanted to give him a hug.
we just want to thank God because what the enemy meant for evil, God is turning around for good. And through this, we want to thank God for God's grace upon our brother. We love him so much, and we thank God that he's one of us now. Amen. Amen.
Well, thank you, Lord. So, Father, I just thank you for that moment. It was a very special. Only you could have created that. We could not have designed it, scripted it, but in your mercy and your love, you scripted it for us. And we praise and magnify your name. Amen.